Hello and welcome back to the another episode of the Hindu News Analysis. Well, it is 28th June today, and in this video, we are going to discuss some important articles which could be relevant for your preparation if you are preparing for UPSC or some state civil service exam. Now, without any delay, let us start our discussion by looking at the first article, which says a China led trilateral nexus as India's new challenge. Now, to understand this article, we have to first understand the condition of the South Asia. To understand that, we have to understand the condition of the world after the breakage of the USSR. When the USSR broke down, what had shifted, what shifted, what are the things which changed, and we have to understand the global condition from last 10 to 15 years, how China is being perceived to be the uh, how China is being perceived to be the next USSR. So let's try to break this down. Let's try to understand it, and let's try to make these small points, highlight these small points, which eventually leads to the conflict of interest between India and China, and finally this engaging India in the fire of pearls. So let's try to understand that one by one. You know, when the USSR broke, USA became the only sole power, sole supreme power of the world, and even today it is considered the sole supreme power of the world. But the reality has shifted to the highest level. It was a time when China was, growing economically to the highest levels. They were doing the research. They had achieved the success with respect to the GDP. With respect to their GDP, and they were growing at the same time. So it was the time when India also decided to be perceived as the global leader. When India also decided to be perceived as a global leader, we wanted to interact with the world. We wanted to look into the problems of the countries. We are perceived to be the leader of the South countries, leader of the South countries, South cooperation, leader of the underdeveloped countries or developing countries. So it is that time when India is also in the race with other countries. India is also perceived to be looked as the world power. So at that time, what do you need? What you should, what advantage you should have. For example, if we look at the USA, their GDP is huge. The credit they have, it is huge. How they control the international organizations, that is something great. So with respect to that, if we look at the China, it is also growing. With respect to USA, what USA is doing, it is doing the same thing, but with the least within very less amount of money. For example, they will also give credit to the countries. They will also help develop different projects into the countries. You would have heard about the road and belt initiative of the China, how they are engaging with the countries and giving them the credit. So it eventually leads to what? It eventually leads that the countries would tend to align towards those countries. But this is the problem for India. India also wanted to, we also wanted to be perceived as the world leaders. We also wanted to be perceived as the global leaders. We also wanted to be perceived as the leader of the South Asia. But at the same time, we have to win the confidence of these countries. We have to win the confidence of these countries. When we invest into the, we also invest in these projects. We do have the money to invest in the projects of these countries. But when but unfortunately right now we are in the race with the China. Their credit strength is much bigger than ours, but the leniency which we have, that is something different. And we have, it is our duty, it is the duty of our it is the duty of our foreign officials, foreign who work in this domain. It is their duty to to make these people understand how our policies are different, how our policies are very much friendly, and how it is how we when there is any international when we have any relation with any regional power, it is looked on this, on the same line. We are not acting as the big brothers to them, we are not acting as the masters and them as the smaller country. We put them on the same place where we perceive that we are. So our way of dealing with this is very much different. But currently the situation has changed. The problems in the world, the problems in the South Asia is very much different. The countries are going through huge debt, the economy is not growing, we are seeing a recession, especially post COVID-19. So the countries are depending much more on the China, and China for India is not good. China's interests in Bangladesh is not good because of the borders we have, the porous borders in the northeast is not good. China's interaction with Afghanistan is not good. China's interaction with the Sri Lanka is not good. So in this way, how China is approaching it, it is not, it is not something which India would like. It is not something, the relations what China is establishing there, it is not something that India would definitely like. So this article is with respect to that, how this how this China-led trilateral nexus is going to challenge the Indian sovereignty, is going to challenge the Indian interests. This is what the article is actually talking about. So this whole, it was the little background to make you understand what this race is actually. This is basically the race of the conflict of interests. This is the race of the money. How you would try to convince the country that the way you are investing in their land is better for them. This is what it is about. Now we had seen, recently there was a little conflict between India and Pakistan when we launched Operation Sindoor, when actually Pakistan, the militants from their land, they attacked the innocent civilians and killed, did the terrorist attack in our land. So with respect to that, we retaliated, and we retaliated to the best. We in a way destroyed the headquarters in their land, for example in the Murid cave. So with respect to that, we achieved the military success, but where we actually did not achieve the success what we would had wanted is the diplomatic success. It is little bit lacking. We can say that diplomatically we did not achieve the success as we achieved in the military domain, and the reason for that is there are multiple reasons for that. First, we did not, when this operation was going on, we were not able to to engage the world at the same time. We were not able to engage the organizations, we were not able to engage our neighbors. So this is one of the issue why we are not seen diplomatically, why we are being challenged with respect to that. So coming back to the, we had come from the various serious time. At that time we wanted our neighboring countries to side with us. We want Bangladesh, in which we had invested huge amount of money, who had been our partner, our strategic partner from 1970s onwards when they got the independence. We wanted them to be on our side. We want other countries to be on our side to support us. We want China to take actions on the anti-terror attacks. So this is what we want. But eventually what we are seeing that China is organizing these trilateral nexus, these trilateral meetings with the one side from Pakistan and Bangladesh. So it is not good for India. Eventually, Bangladesh, what it used to be the East Pakistan, is not at all good for the India, because we cannot afford the way there is there is the porous borders in the northeast. We cannot afford another Pakistan in this region. So we always wanted to cultivate the Bangladesh, but how it is turning out is very much is very much challenging for India. Similarly, there were trilateral a meeting between Pakistan, China and Afghanistan. That is not also good. And also the relationship between how there is the growing relationship between the China and Sri Lanka and China and Nepal. So this is at the end going to impact the Indian interests. This is what India has to counter. And here in the another article we will also discuss that how the world is changing, the perspective of the world is changing from the multilateralism to the minilateralism. How the earlier it was believed that if you can deliver your your sentiments, you can deliver what do you feel, you can deliver what what your perspective of the world understanding is on the higher domains like UNO, like UNSC, all that stuff. But it is now changing. It is getting confined to these regional nexus, this regional relationships, these regional minilateral relationships. For example, now what India has to do, we will have to focus on this. We will have to re-engage them, these countries. We can have a meeting like how did China had. We have the Quad. We will have to engage more in that. We will have to. We need to add all these countries in that. We may need to have this BIMSTEC relationship. We need to put more focus on the BIMSTEC organization so that we can also engage these countries. This is in a nutshell the crux of the article. The article talks about how the China-led trilateral nexus is challenging for India. Indeed, it is challenging for India, because how India wanted these countries to pursue, to how India, how India had developed this relationship with these countries, but right now the situation is changing. That China is using these countries for their purposes. China is building China is investing in these countries, and eventually these countries, they also know the situation between India and China. So when they will bargain with India, they will put more pressure on India, because they would threaten India that if you are not benefiting us, we will shift towards China. So it is eventually going to impact the Indian decision making, India's foreign policy. Right now, India has to focus on this minilateral regional organizations. India has to focus with these bilateral. India should improve the bilateral relationship between these countries, and focus on much. As we are planning to deliver, we should also, as we promise to deliver to these countries, we should also deliver that in the time. So this is the crux of the article. Now moving to the another article here, let's have a look at it. Let's see what it is about. Basically it is again talking about the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which was in which the defense ministerial meeting was held recently, and there was an issue with respect to India, and India did not sign it, the joint statement. Why they did not sign it, the joint statement? Because India wanted that the Pahalgam should be added in the joint statement, but it was not added because from the retaliation from the China as well as from the Pakistan, as India and Pakistan are both part of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Now the article here is talking about how it is one of the missed opportunity for India to internationalize the issue, to internationalize the issue. And again, coming to the discussion which we did in the earlier article, that how the world order is changing right now. Earlier it used to be all multilateralism. Now it is changing into the bilateral or minilateral relationships, in which these countries come together, which is a small group of the countries in Shanghai Corporation. We discussed it yesterday also. These are 10 countries who had come together and who discussed about the various issues with respect to terrorism, with respect to separatism, and various other isms which are very much going to impact the sovereignty of the country, and also it discusses about the development. So with respect to that, we know that in the Shanghai Corporation there is a well defined organization for that, to counter the terrorism, to counter the terrorist structures. For example, they have the regional anti-terrorist structure, which is a permanent body of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So its objective is to combat terrorism, separatism, and extremism. So we know that they have this all that, and it was according to the article, it was the opportunity for India to highlight the issue of the by its diplomacy, by its foreign policy, to make these countries sign the agreement and highlight the issue of what? To highlight the issue of the Pahalgam attack, to highlight the issue how India is suffering from these terrorist attacks in their soil, how Pakistan is the contributor of these militant attacks. So it was the opportunity for India. So I would like to disagree with the author here, because what is the aim of entering these? It is not the final aim that everything what you said would be listened. It is not true. Right now, even if USA is enjoying the world supreme power, USA is the world supreme power. Let's suppose. Still, USA cannot make the countries say they cannot, they cannot make these organizations say whatever they want to. For example, let's take an example of the International Criminal Court. And if it was up to these, if it is up to the how these countries react, and it is the failure of the country, that argument I'm not buying here. Why? Because these organizations, for example, let me complete the example. International Criminal Court, they gave the arrest warrant to the Netanyahu. So it is not something like that. But if you are not listened by these organizations, that you are not valued or you missed any opportunity. The thing is that being the part of these organizations is the big thing. Being on the table is the bigger thing than being absent there. So India was there. India did not sign it. It itself became the news that why India did not sign it. Why India did not sign the joint statement of it. So it indeed became the international matter in this regard. So world came to know why India did not sign it. In world came to know what India's stance would be with respect to the terrorism, with respect to the extremism, with respect to the separatism, what India's approach would be. So this is very much clear. Here I would like to disagree with the author, with the article here. It is not a missed opportunity with the theme. Actually, it is not a missed opportunity, even though if it would have been signed, that would have been much greater victory for India. But it is not a defeat. It is not a diplomatic defeat, but it is just they did not listen to us because of the how China is getting involved in it. And here we have to work on our foreign policy. We have to work on our bilateral policies. We have to work on our bilateral relationships, and we have to work on other multi or mini lateral relationships, like in Quad we have, or various others. For example, we have I2U2 relationship, Israel, India, UAE and USA. We have to work on in these, we have to put our interests in these relationships. And also at the same time, when we have such organizations, they are also internationalized. When you made any statement, it became the international statement, that what India's approach would be, what India is perceiving to be. So this is the crux of the article, and this is how India is approaching, and India is doing very great with respect to that. Even though our demand was not signed there, that's okay, but world is knowing what is happening with respect to that. And it does not mean we should come out from the Shanghai Corporation. We have to be there. It is better to be on the table rather than being absent. So with this, let's have a look at the type of question which could be relevant from this article. Here the question says, consider the following statements regarding the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. First statement: the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, a regional anti-terrorist structure, is a permanent body of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, headquartered in Tashkent, Uzbekistan. 100% correct. The primary objective of RATS is to combat terrorism, separatism and extremism. That's also true. India and Pakistan, as full members of the SCO, are also members of RATS. That is also true. So with respect to this question, all the three statements are correct. Now with this, let's move to the another article here. Well, this is the interesting article which was in the news. Basically, it is talking about, this article is talking about hierarchy in lawyers. How it is going to impact the whole community in general, how it is going to impact the whole society in general. Even though it seems very much internal issue of the judiciary, but when the impact of it is felt by the people outside, then it is to be discussed. So with respect to this, in Indian courts, there are two types of advocates. One is advocate. First advocate, who is he? He has completed the law degree, and he is being registered. He is registered with any law firm, with any if he is registered with any firm, then he would be the advocate. Completed law degree and enrolled in the bar council, and he is enrolled in the bar council. And the second one is the senior advocate. Who is the senior advocate? Senior advocate is he is distinguished. The designation given to few individuals. Only this senior advocate, it is the designation given to few individuals only by the high courts and the supreme courts. So there is a discussion over it. Now if this on what basis this designation is given. Is it the arbitrary? Is it on just they had taken few arbitrary events, and for that on that basis it is given? Is it the violation of Article 14, and how it is going to impact the society at all, and how it is going to impact the getting access to justice, how it is impacting that. Now let's discuss that. First, where it is given, where this division is given, we need to know that it is the Advocates Act of 1961, Advocates Act of 1961, which gives us this division. And who is this senior advocate? It is defined in it. There are two criteria given. One is he has the special knowledge. It is not defined what the special knowledge is, so there is definitely the need of interpretation with it. And the second is the experience in law. What this experience is, that is also to be interpreted. So here definitely these are the ways it is this is the division in the which is given to these advocates. Now, who are these advocates? They are going to represent the people. They are going to represent poor, they are going to represent rich. In general, they are going to represent everyone. And we know that if you would have joined my classes, which we do in the evening session, we recently completed the DPSPs, and we saw that there was one DPSP that everybody, government shall strive to give the legal aid to everyone. Legal aid, it is one of the DPSP that government should strive to give the legal aid. So what does this legal aid mean? It does not mean that if for example I am for example there is a person who is convicted of anything, and the case is against, there is a dispute between the two authorities, two corporations, or there is a dispute between a worker and the company. The case goes to the courts. Then definitely the courts, the authority there, they would hire those senior advocates which are described by the Supreme Court. And definitely there would be the conflict of interests. Definitely there would be the those advocates who are considered senior, they will be given extra time to talk. And the person who is given the legal, suppose he's been given the legal aid, he will not be represented that well as the others would be represented. So it will definitely create the hierarchy. It will create the hierarchy, and eventually what it will do, it will it will lead to the breakage of the justice. So definitely there is the need of interpretation with respect to that. And with respect to this, in the recent case with in the Supreme Court, Jitendra versus State of NCT, the Supreme Court said that the High Court should revisit the guidelines with respect to the senior advocates, because if anybody is is having the senior advocate to represent him, he will have much higher advantage, he will have much higher chances to win the case with respect to the other advocate. And also if what it will lead to, it will lead to the hindrance for the freshers who are new to the who are the first generation lawyers. They will not get any chance, because they are not even a competition. No case would go to them, and eventually if the cases will go to them, it is, and the opposition party is from the senior advocates, definitely there are higher chances that he will lose. So this division, as it is said that the justice should not be only done, it should seem to be done. Justice should seem to be done. So to have this principle, this division should not be there. If it is there, then it should be well defined. It should not be arbitrary. It should not be in the violation of Article 14 of the Indian Constitution. So this is what the article is basically talking about, how it is impacting the equality, how this division is impacting the equality, and how these guidelines should be revisited. So with this, I hope you had understood this article too. Now let's move to the another article and have a look at it, what it is talking about. Now these are small articles with respect to your prelims preparation. The article is basically with respect to Mansarovar, visit pilgrimage, first batch of pilgrims visit Mansarovar, appeal for more slots. Let's have a look at it. What does this what does this yatra is all about. The question says, with reference to the Kailash Mansarovar Yatra, consider the following statements. First statement: the yatra is organized by the Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India, and is undertaken via two official routes from India. That is true. Second, the two routes for the yatra are through the Lipu Lake Pass in the Uttarakhand and the Nathula Pass in Sikkim. That is also true. The pilgrimage was suspended for several years due to COVID-19 pandemic and border tensions between China, and has recently resumed. That is also true. So, with respect to this question, the correct statement is option D. Now here a question may come to your mind that how this yatra is organized by the Ministry of External Affairs. Is it the violation of the secularism, which is the fundamental and basic feature of our constitution? For that, I would recommend you to watch my videos with respect to the fundamental rights, with respect to the basic structure, what we had discussed there. You would definitely understand that. But here I would like to make a point here. Here they are not charging any taxes for that, for these yatras. The Ministry of External Affairs is not charging the taxes. And also one thing, it is not all about this yatra, it is not about the pilgrimage only, it is about also the going to the another country, which is an external affair matter, and which is the foreign matter, where we need the ministries to get involved. And also they are not the promoters of this, but they help in, they contribute to it, they help in in organizing the all the stuff which is required for the people to have a healthy and good life there, with respect to this yatra. So with respect to this, please visit my the right current right now we are discussing Indian polity. There we had discussed fundamental rights. I guess we took 3 to 4 classes in discussing the fundamental rights. So there, go and check that portion of our discussion. You will definitely get the better answer to it. The question should have been, is it violation of Article 27, where no tax should be paid or some and all that stuff? So no, it is not violation of that. Now with this, let's move to the another article here. Well, the article is here to no time to reset. Well, it is again talking about the sustainable development goals. Recently the how India has improved its result from how India has improved its rank with respect to the sustainable development goal, which is the ranking which is given by the Sustainable Development Solution Networks, and now we had reached to the top 100. How we had reached to the top 100, but the article says it is not something that we need to rest here. Even though some goals we had done very good. For example, we had reduced poverty to the half from last 5 years, and also with respect to poverty, we had reduced it to half. We had done very good with respect to the hunger, but at the same time we need to get more involved in it. We need to bring in the gender equality. There are various issues which we have to look into. We have to look into the providing electricity, with respect to also the another thing which we had achieved till now. We had provided the electricity to the every corner of the country, but still there is the need for the development. This is what the author says here. The being in top 100 is not something we are winning. We don't need to rest, but we need to move very fast. We need to look at other sustainable development goals and focus on that too. For example, digital literacy, disparity, we need to eliminate hunger fully and all that stuff. And also the collection of the data which we are using with respect to that should be very much authentic and very much acceptable to everyone. So this is in a nutshell the article is talking about. Now let's move to the last article of today's discussion. Well, it is about the Puri Rath Yatra begins, and some people got hospitalized due to the extreme heat. So definitely the states have to get involved in this, so to provide the facilities. So let's have a look at the Puri Rath Yatra, and let's get some information from it. Here, with reference to the annual Rath Yatra of Puri, consider the following statement. Statement 1. It says the Yatra is dedicated to Lord Jagannath, his elder brother Lord Balabhadra, and his sister Devi Subhadra. Correct. The procession takes place on chariots built annually, which are pulled by devotees from the Jagannath temple to the Gundicha temple. That's true. The return journey of the deities from the Gunincha temple to the main temple is also known as the Bahuda Yatra. That's also true. So with respect to this question, all the three statements are correct. With this, we complete our today's discussion. I hope you would have liked the video. I hope you would share it with your friends, and I definitely hope you would subscribe the channel. Thank you for staying with me. Thank you very much, and have a nice day. And one more thing, please, now let me give the brief introduction about the initiative. Every day we upload 2 videos on our YouTube channel. One in the morning session where we discuss the daily news, which is this video, and we take up your current affairs. And one we upload in the evening session where we discuss this static syllabus. And as I told you, we started with Indian polity. We are about to complete that Indian polity. So I request you guys, this is the platform where we give you the free and full coaching for your UPSC preparation, except the optionals, because we don't have the faculty to deliver the lectures for the optionals here. So except optionals, everything would be given with respect to prelims or mains. And also, we are at the same time as we are delivering these lectures, we are preparing your notes, and those notes would be available after every subject would be completed. For that, to get the service of those notes, you would have to pay only 200 rupees. And trust me, those notes would be so beautifully written, so easy to understand, and full of information, which is eventually going to help you to crack this exam. If you want to get this service, please do email us. We will definitely send you the notes. And with respect to the classes here, please do subscribe the channel and share it with your friends so that they may also get benefited. So with this, I would like to thank you very much for staying with me. Have a nice day.